This is Max and Mia podcast.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Max and Mia. I'm Max.
And I'm Mia. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. We're super excited about today's episode because we've got something really special planned for you.
That's right. Today we're doing something a little different. We've prepared 5 incredible stories that are perfect for intermediate English learners. We're talking B1 to B2 level here.
These aren't your typical beginner stories, Max. We've really stepped it up. You'll hear us using present perfect, past tense, participles. Basically, all those grammar structures you've been working so hard to master.
Exactly. And the best part is, 3 of these stories are going to be told as conversations between 3 people. So you'll get to hear natural dialogue and how people actually speak in real situations.
Plus, we have 2 first-person narratives where you'll really get inside someone's head and experience their story from their perspective. And who knows, we might even throw in some quotes from other people who were part of these stories.
The stories we've chosen are, well, let's just say they're quite advanced and definitely engaging. You won't be bored, that's for sure.
So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and get ready to challenge your English listening skills. Are you ready, Max?
I'm ready. Let's dive into our first story.
Story number 1, The Digital Detox Experiment.
You know what, Jake? I've been thinking about this for weeks now, and I think I need to do something drastic about my phone addiction.
Oh, here we go again. Sarah, you say this every month. Remember last time when you lasted exactly 3 hours without your phone?
That was different. I hadn't prepared properly. But this time, I'm serious. I've already downloaded this app that tracks my screen time, and do you know what it told me yesterday?
I'm afraid to ask.
7 hours and 43 minutes. Can you believe that? I spent almost 8 hours staring at a screen yesterday. That's more time than I spend sleeping.
Okay, that is pretty shocking. But Sarah, you work in social media marketing. Your job literally requires you to be online constantly.
I know, but I'm talking about my personal usage, the mindless scrolling through Instagram at 2 a.m., watching TikTok videos of people I don't even know, checking Facebook every 5 minutes. It's gotten completely out of control.
So, what's your plan this time? Please don't tell me you're going to throw your phone in a drawer again.
Actually, I've been researching digital detox retreats. There's this place in Costa Rica where they take away all your devices for a whole week. You spend your time doing yoga, meditation, hiking, basically reconnecting with nature and yourself.
Wait, are you serious? You want to go to Costa Rica and give up your phone for a week? Sarah, you panic when your Wi-Fi goes down for 10 minutes.
That's exactly why I need this. Jake, I realized something terrible yesterday. I was having dinner with my mom. You know, the woman who raised me and sacrificed everything for my education, and I caught myself checking Instagram stories while she was telling me about her doctor's appointment.
Ouch, that must have felt pretty awful.
It was horrible. She didn't say anything, but I could see the disappointment in her eyes. That's when I knew I had hit rock bottom. I've become one of those people I used to criticize, completely addicted to digital validation.
Okay, I'm starting to understand why you're considering such an extreme measure. But have you thought about starting smaller? Maybe just turning off notifications or leaving your phone in another room at night.
I've tried all of that. The problem is that I have zero self-control when it comes to technology. It's like having a chocolate addiction and trying to eat just one piece while keeping the entire box next to your bed.
That's actually a pretty good analogy. So when would you do this retreat thing?
I've already requested time off for next month. My boss thinks I'm going to visit my grandmother, which isn't entirely a lie since I'll be visiting my inner grandmother or something like that.
Your inner grandmother? Sarah, you're starting to sound like one of those wellness influencers you're always making fun of.
Don't you dare! But seriously, Jake, I need this. I've calculated that in the past year, I've spent over 2,500 hours looking at screens. That's equivalent to working a full-time job. Imagine what I could have accomplished with all that time.
Like what?
I could have learned a new language fluently, read 50 books, taken up painting, learned to play the guitar. The possibilities are endless. Instead, I know way too much about the personal lives of celebrities I don't even like.
You make a compelling argument. But aren't digital detox retreats really expensive?
They are. This one costs $2,000 for the week, but I've already spent more than that on unnecessary online purchases this year. Clothes I never wear, gadgets I never use, subscription services I forgot I had signed up for.
When you put it like that, actually, I'm kind of curious about how you'll handle it. Will you document the experience somehow?
That's the ironic part. I want to share the whole journey on social media, but obviously I can't do that while I'm disconnected. I'm planning to write everything down in an actual physical journal with an actual pen.
A pen and paper? Wow, you really are going old school. Well, if you're determined to do this, I support you. Maybe it'll inspire me to examine my own digital habits.
Really? You'd consider doing something like this too?
Let's see how you survive first, and then we'll talk.
Story number 2, the unexpected roommate.
Lisa, I need to tell you something, and I'm not sure how you're going to react to this news.
Oh no, what happened? You're making me nervous with that tone. Did you break something expensive again?
It's nothing like that. Actually, it's about our living situation. You know how we've been struggling to pay rent since the landlord raised it by 30% last month?
Don't remind me. I've been eating instant noodles for 2 weeks straight just to make ends meet. Why? Have you found a solution?
Well, sort of. Remember my cousin Marcus, the one who just graduated from law school and has been looking for a place in the city?
The tall guy with the beard who came to your birthday party? Yeah, I remember him. He seemed nice enough, but what does he have to do with our rent problem?
He called me yesterday asking if he could crash on our couch for a few days while he apartment hunts. But then I started thinking, what if we offered him the storage room?
The storage room? Emma, that room is barely bigger than a closet. There's no window, and it's full of our old furniture and Christmas decorations from 3 years ago.
I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. Marcus is desperate. He's been staying in expensive hotels for the past 2 weeks because he can't find anything affordable. And he's willing to pay $800 a month for even the smallest space.
$800? That's more than half our rent. But Emma, we can't seriously ask someone to live in a room without natural light. That's not fair to him, and honestly, it might not even be legal.
That's what I thought initially, but I did some research. Technically, as long as there's proper ventilation and it meets minimum size requirements, it's allowed. Plus, Marcus has already seen photos of the room, and he's completely fine with it.
Wait, you already showed him pictures? When did this conversation happen?
Last night, after you went to bed, he video called me, and I gave him a virtual tour of the whole apartment, including the storage room. He was actually excited about it. He said it would be like living in a cozy cave.
A cozy cave? That doesn't sound very appealing to me. What about privacy? That room shares a wall with my bedroom, and you know how thin these walls are.
He's thought about that, too. Marcus works at a law firm downtown, so he leaves early in the morning and comes home pretty late. Plus, he travels frequently for cases, so he wouldn't even be here every night.
I have to admit, the financial aspect is tempting. With his contribution, we could actually start saving money again, instead of just surviving paycheck to paycheck. But what about bathroom usage? We only have one bathroom, and it's already a challenge when it's just the two of us.
Marcus suggested he could use the gym down the street for morning showers before work. He's already a member there, and they're open 24/7. For evening showers, we could work out a schedule.
He's really thought this through, hasn't he? What's his timeline? When would he want to move in?
That's the thing. He needs an answer by tomorrow because his hotel reservation ends this weekend. If we say yes, he could move in on Saturday. He's already prepared to pay the first month's rent plus a security deposit.
This weekend? Emma, that's incredibly fast. We'd need to clear out all our stuff from that room, figure out how to fit a bed in there, set up some kind of lighting.
Actually, Marcus said he'd handle all of that. He's willing to buy a Murphy bed that folds up against the wall, and he'll install proper lighting fixtures. He even offered to paint the room at his own expense.
Wow, he's really serious about this. You know what? The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. We need the money. He needs a place. And it's temporary until he finds something better.
So you're okay with it? Really?
Let's do it. But we need to establish some ground rules first. House meetings, cleaning schedules, noise levels, guest policies. If we're going to live together, we need to make sure everyone's comfortable.
I'll call Marcus right now and tell him the good news.
Story number 3, the career pivot that changed everything.
I've always been the type of person who plans everything 5 years in advance. My life was perfectly mapped out. Work as an accountant for 10 years, save enough money for a house, get married, have kids, retire at 65. Simple, predictable, safe. But sometimes life has other plans for you, and looking back now, I'm grateful it does. It all started on a rainy Tuesday morning last March. I was sitting in my gray cubicle, staring at spreadsheets that seemed to multiply like rabbits, when my colleague Jennifer leaned over and whispered,
"Did you hear? They're laying off half the accounting department next month."
My stomach dropped. I had been working at Morrison & Associates for 7 years, and I thought I was secure. I had excellent performance reviews, I rarely took sick days, and I even volunteered for overtime during tax season. That evening, I couldn't concentrate on anything. I kept thinking about what Jennifer had said. Was I going to be one of the unlucky ones? I'd been feeling increasingly unhappy at work lately, but I had convinced myself that unhappiness was just part of being an adult. Everyone hates their job, I used to tell myself. That's why they call it work, not fun. The next morning, I did something completely out of character. Instead of going straight to the office, I stopped at a small cafe I had walked past hundreds of times but never entered. The owner, an elderly woman named Rosa, greeted me with the warmest smile I had received in months.
"First time here?"
she asked. When I nodded, she said,
"Then you must try my special blend. It's made with beans I import directly from my family's farm in Brazil."
As I sipped that incredible coffee, I noticed how Rosa interacted with every customer. She remembered their names, asked about their families, and seemed genuinely interested in their lives. I watched her for almost an hour, and I realized something profound. She loved what she did. When was the last time I had felt that way about anything? That afternoon, the layoffs were announced. I wasn't on the list, but 12 of my colleagues were. As I watched them clean out their desks, I felt a strange mixture of relief and guilt. Why had I been spared? Was it really just luck, or was there something more? Over the following weeks, I couldn't stop thinking about Rosa and her cafe. I started going there every morning before work. We began having longer conversations, and I learned that she had opened the cafe 15 years ago after leaving a corporate job she hated.
"I was miserable for 20 years. I kept telling myself I was too old to start over, too scared to fail. But you know what I realized? I was already failing. I was failing to live the life I wanted."
Her words hit me like a lightning bolt. I had been so focused on financial security that I had forgotten about personal fulfillment. That night, I did something I hadn't done since college. I wrote in a journal. I listed all the things I was passionate about, all the dreams I had abandoned for the sake of stability. The turning point came when Rosa asked me to take some professional photos for her cafe's new website.
"I've seen the pictures you show me on your phone. You have a real talent. Why are you hiding it?"
she said. I spent that entire weekend photographing her cafe, her customers, and the neighborhood. When I showed her the results, she was amazed.
These aren't just photos. They tell a story. They capture the soul of this place.
That was 6 months ago. Today, I run my own photography business, and I've never been happier. I still do some freelance accounting to pay the bills, but photography is my passion and increasingly my primary income. Rosa was my first client, and she's referred dozens of other small business owners to me. Sometimes the best decisions are the ones that scare you the most.
Story number 4, the wedding disaster that wasn't.
Tom, I can't believe you're being so calm about this. Our wedding is in exactly 3 hours, and half the catering staff just called in sick with food poisoning.
Okay, breathe with me for a second. Breathe in, breathe out. Rachel, we've been planning this day for 18 months. We've overcome every obstacle so far, and we'll figure this one out too.
But how? The caterer just told me they can only provide appetizers and dessert now. What are we going to feed 150 guests for dinner? Pizza? I can already hear my mother-in-law complaining about how unprofessional everything is.
Actually, that gives me an idea. What if we embrace this chaos instead of fighting it? What if we make it part of our story?
What do you mean? Tom, this isn't the time for your philosophical moments. We have a real crisis here.
Listen to me. Do you remember our first date? We went to that fancy French restaurant and they messed up our reservation. We ended up at that tiny taco truck instead, and we talked until 3 a.m. You said it was the best date you'd ever had.
That was different. That was just the two of us, not 150 people who have traveled from across the country to celebrate with us.
But think about it, all our best memories together have happened when things didn't go according to plan. The time we got lost on our road trip and discovered that amazing little town. The power outage during your birthday party when we played charades by candlelight.
I see what you're trying to do, but Tom, people are expecting a proper wedding dinner. My dad has already made 3 speeches about how much money he spent on this day.
What if we turn this into the most memorable wedding ever? We could order from 5 different food trucks. Tacos, burgers, pizza, Thai food, barbecue. Make it like a festival. People would be talking about our wedding for years.
Food trucks? At our wedding? Tom, we're supposed to be adults now. We have jobs, a mortgage, responsibilities.
And we also have each other, and that's what really matters today. Rachel, in 50 years, do you think we'll remember whether the chicken was perfectly seasoned? Or will we remember how we laughed together when everything went wrong?
I hate it when you make sense during my panic attacks, but seriously, how would we even organize food trucks in 3 hours? And what about the cost?
I've already called my brother Mike. He owns that event planning company, remember? He says he can have 4 different food trucks here within 2 hours. As for the cost, we'll use the money we were going to spend on the honeymoon upgrade.
You called Mike without asking me first? When did you have time to do that?
While you were on the phone with your mom, explaining the situation for the 3rd time, I figured one of us should start working on solutions instead of just panicking.
And what did Mike say exactly?
He laughed and said, "Finally, a wedding that won't be boring." He's excited to help us pull this off. He even knows a mariachi band that's available this afternoon if we want to complete the festival vibe.
A mariachi band? Tom, we already hired a DJ.
We can have both. Rachel, this could be amazing. Instead of a traditional sit-down dinner where people are stuck at assigned tables, everyone can mingle, try different foods, dance between courses.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I'm tired of trying to create the perfect wedding that exists only in magazines. Let's create our perfect wedding instead.
Really? You're okay with this crazy plan?
More than okay. I'm excited. This is so much more us than a stuffy formal dinner would have been. But promise me one thing. If this turns into a complete disaster, you'll never let me live it down, right?
I promise to remind you of this moment every anniversary for the rest of our lives. And Rachel, this is exactly why I'm marrying you today. You're the only person I know who can turn a crisis into an adventure.
Well then, let's go plan the most unconventional wedding reception in history.
Story number 5. The night I almost missed my flight to freedom.
I never thought I'd be the type of person to make life-changing decisions at 2 a.m. in an airport bathroom, but here I am, telling you exactly that story. It was supposed to be a simple business trip to London. 3 days of meetings, a presentation to potential investors, and then back to my comfortable but soul-crushing corporate life in Chicago. Instead, it became the night that changed everything. I had been working at the same marketing firm for 8 years, climbing the corporate ladder one painful rung at a time. My boss, Patricia, was the kind of person who scheduled meetings about scheduling meetings. She had called me into her office that Friday afternoon and said,
"Congratulations, you've been selected to represent our company at the International Marketing Summit in London. Don't mess this up."
The flight was delayed by 4 hours due to a snowstorm, which meant I'd been sitting in O'Hare Airport since 6 p.m., and it was now past midnight. I was exhausted, frustrated, and questioning every decision that had led me to this moment. That's when I overheard a conversation that would change my perspective forever. At the gate next to mine, a group of young travelers were discussing their plans. One of them said,
"I can't believe we're actually doing this. Quitting our jobs to backpack through Europe for 6 months seemed crazy when we first talked about it, but now it feels like the sanest thing we've ever done."
Another one laughed and replied,
My parents think I've lost my mind. My mom keeps asking, what about your career? What about your 5-year plan? But honestly, I've never been happier than I am right now, and we haven't even left yet.
I found myself eavesdropping shamelessly. These people, who couldn't have been older than 25, were talking about life with an enthusiasm I hadn't felt in years. When was the last time I had been excited about anything? When was the last time I had done something just because it made me happy? That's when my phone buzzed with an email from Patricia. Even at midnight on a weekend, she was working. The subject line read, "Additional responsibilities for London trip." I opened it reluctantly and found a list of 17 additional tasks she wanted me to complete during my 3-day business trip. 17. As if the original schedule wasn't overwhelming enough. I stared at that email for a long time, and something inside me snapped. Not in an angry way, but more like a rubber band that had been stretched too far and finally broke free. I walked to the bathroom, looked at myself in the harsh fluorescent lighting, and asked the person in the mirror a simple question. Is this the life you want? The answer was immediate and crystal clear. Absolutely not. I had been saving money for years, supposedly for a house down payment, but I realized I had been saving it for the wrong reasons. I had been saving it out of fear. Fear of not being secure. Fear of not meeting other people's expectations. Fear of disappointing my family. But what about my own disappointment? What about the dreams I had abandoned? Standing in that airport bathroom, I made 3 decisions that would have seemed impossible just hours earlier. First, I was going to London, but not for business meetings. Second, I was going to quit my job, not when I returned, but right then via email. Third, I was going to extend my trip indefinitely and finally write the novel I had been planning to write someday for the past decade. My hands were shaking as I typed my resignation email. "Dear Patricia," I wrote, "I am resigning from my position effective immediately. I will not be attending the London meetings. I'm sure you'll find someone else who's willing to work 17-hour days for your approval. I, however, choose to work on my own dreams instead. Best regards, and goodbye." I hit send before I could change my mind. The young travelers were boarding their flight when I walked back to the gate area. One of them smiled at me and said,
You look like someone who just made a big decision.
I did, I replied. I just quit my job to become a writer.
Wow, that's amazing. How do you feel?
I thought about it for a moment, terrified and exhilarated at the same time.
Perfect. That means you're doing something right.
That was 8 months ago. I'm writing this from a small cafe in Prague, where I've been living for the past month. My novel is half finished, and for the first time in years, I wake up excited about the day ahead.
Wow, Max, those stories were absolutely incredible. I have to say that last one really gave me chills. Can you imagine having the courage to quit your job via email from an airport bathroom?
Right? Each of these stories shows us something different about taking risks, making changes, and embracing the unexpected. From Sarah's digital detox to that spontaneous career change, and even Rachel and Tom turning a wedding disaster into something beautiful.
What I love most is how real these situations feel. I bet many of our listeners have been in similar positions, feeling stuck, dealing with technology addiction, facing housing challenges, or just dreaming about a completely different life.
Exactly. And the language in today's episode was definitely more challenging than our usual content. If you made it through all 5 stories, you should be really proud of your English listening skills. That was solid B1 to B2 level material right there.
Speaking of making it through, if you're still listening right now, that means you've stuck with us for the entire episode, and we honestly can't thank you enough for that. It means the world to us that you chose to spend your time improving your English with Max and me.
Absolutely. And hey, if you enjoyed today's stories and found them helpful for your English learning journey, we'd love it if you could hit that like button. It really helps other English learners discover our podcast.
And don't forget to subscribe. We release new episodes every week with fresh content designed specifically for intermediate English learners. You definitely don't want to miss what we have planned for next time.
Oh, and if you have any feedback about today's episode or ideas for future stories, feel free to leave us a comment. We actually read every single one, and your suggestions often inspire our content.
Before we sign off, let me ask you this. Which story resonated with you the most? Was it the digital detox, the unexpected roommate situation, the career change, the wedding chaos, or that life-changing airport moment?
Great question. Think about it, and maybe share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to know which story spoke to you and why.
All right, everyone, that's a wrap for today's episode of Max and Mia. Thank you so much for joining us, for challenging yourselves with these advanced stories, and for being part of our English learning community.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and remember, every conversation you listen to, every story you follow, every new word you learn is bringing you closer to fluency.
Until next time, this has been Mia.
And Max. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you in the next episode.